What's going on, YouTube? Today I bring you my number 26 power ranked team for the 2021 NFL season, and as you saw by the title, that is the Chicago Bears. This is a very frustrating team because they're very, very good at some spots, and they are, like, overall a decent team on paper, but some of the positions and the coaching, which we'll all talk about later, really brings this team down for me, and they're going to be at 26 right now. They have a bright future, I think, but we'll have to see, and we'll discuss that a little bit more too. But without further ado, let's get into it. So, starting off with the offense, so once again, starting with the receivers. Receiver is actually a pretty strong position for these Bears. I mean, Allen Robinson, I was just talking about it with a buddy of mine yesterday. I believe if Allen Robinson, because his question was, if Allen Robinson has Mahomes, if he plays on the Chiefs, is he a top 3 receiver? And I said, he's the number 1 receiver. Like, say all you want about Stephon Diggs and Davante Adams, but I'm sorry, if you gave Allen Robinson the Chiefs offense, he would be the number 1 receiver. You need to look at the way that this guy plays, first off, but second off, the fact that he's put up the numbers he has with Blaine Gabbert. I think Blake Bortles was his quarterback for a little bit. Nick Foles, Mitch Trubisky. Like, you're telling me this guy consistently puts up 1,000-yard receiving seasons with those guys as his quarterback? Like, how's that even possible? It's because Allen Robinson is an incredibly talented receiver, and so he's a great guy to have on the team. Darnell Mooney showed some great stuff last year, was one of those more surprise rookies. I'm excited for him going into his second year. I think he could be a breakout candidate this year. And then they've got some really nice depth behind those guys. I mean, Damiere Byrd, Anthony Miller, Javon Wims, Marquise Goodwin, like, although he's had a few injury concerns, is a really great guy to have. He's probably your starting slot receiver if he's healthy, to be honest. And then they picked up Daz Newsome in this last draft, who, he's one of those players where I kind of went deeper on, that was, like, lower on a lot of people's boards. And to be honest, like, Daz Newsome has that Tyreek Hill potential if he just gets a bit more physical and, like, is just a bit more willing to go up for those contested balls. Because otherwise, the dude's got insane speed and is actually a very good athlete. There are a few things holding him back right now, but, like, this is a guy with an insane amount of potential. So this is a very good, very young receiving core. I'm going to give this receiving core an A-. It's actually, no, I'm sorry. It's an A. It's an A. Like, this is one of the best receiving cores in the NFL, and not a lot of people give it its credit for that. So, yeah, this is a fantastic receiving core. So, unfortunately, they're just doomed by their quarterbacks. But left tackle, Tevin Jenkins, I mean, like, I think he'll be fine at left tackle. I have always viewed him as more of a guard. I don't think he'll really hold up at tackle all that much in the NFL. Even then, I think he'll be a fantastic guard if he ever moves there. He can work out at tackle, but I would put my betting odds on guard over tackle personally. But I mean, he's fine to have over there at the left side as a rookie. Not really anyone behind him. Latavius Simmons is okay as depth, but I'm going to give this a C- for right now. I wasn't the biggest fan of Jenkins coming out of college. Although the second round was at least decent value. He's about where the second round is where I thought he should have gone. I didn't think he would drop to the second round though. But it's overall an okay room. Left guard, I mean, James Daniel has been pretty solid at times. Other than that, you don't really have any depth really. Hambright's, again, also been just okay at times. James Daniels is a solid enough guy though, so I'm going to give it a C here. I think he's just a bit more established than Tevin Jenkins. Center, it's a much better room than the last two. I mean, Cody Whitehair is a really solid center, actually. Sam Mustipher has shown some really nice things, and Adam Redmond is your number 3. is a great guy to have as your number 3. All of that combined, you have a solid starter, some great backups. I'm going to give this a B. It's a pretty solid room, even if you don't have that top tier talent there. Right guard and right tackle, you can kind of switch up a lot because Wilkinson can play guard and tackle, but I'm just going to go with what they have here. I think this is probably what they'll end up doing in real life. Jermaine Ifedi at your right guard position is whatever, and Alex Bars as your backup is whatever. I wouldn't even consider Jermaine Ifedi solid personally, so I'm going to give it a D+ here. I just don't think that it's really anything that special. And then the right tackle room, Elijah Wilkinson was solid at times when he played at Denver. He's definitely got starter starter experience, so he's not the worst guy in the world to have starting for you, but he should not be a starter. Larry Borom as a backup, though, I do like. I love the potential on him, so I'm going to give a C+ here. I mean, two young guys with Wilkinson still has some potential. I just don't think right now he should be starting. But, I like Borom, so I'm going to give I'll give a C+ to that one. Tight end, Jimmy Graham, probably still your number one, unless he just has some big regression all of a sudden. I feel like Jimmy Graham is really overrated, personally. I know a lot of people love him, but he had a couple great seasons with the Saints, and he was just never anything. And he was good, but he was never anything close to his Saints form after that. He was solid for the Packers, but he had Aaron Rodgers throwing it to him. He's been literally nothing for the Bears. Apparently, there's a discussion that he should be in the Hall of Fame, and I don't agree with that at all. I don't believe Jimmy Graham's a Hall of Fame player. I don't think he's a good player for the Bears right now. So, behind him, you have Cole Kmet, who I was never a fan of coming out of college. I don't think he'll be anything in the NFL. I think it was a big wasted draft pick by the Bears, in my opinion. Excuse me for my throat, by the way. I think it was a big wasted draft pick. I do like Jake Butt. Obviously, if you know his story, he should have been one of the better tight ends in the NFL, and then injuries just completely derailed him. So, I mean, it's a deep enough room, but there's really no one here that I think should be starting. So I'm going to give it a C-. I'm not a big fan of Jimmy Graham. I don't think he's a good player right now. I think Cole Kmet was a wasted draft pick, and Butt can barely stay healthy. So I'm going to give a C- here. Quarterback, geez. Yeah, this is really what brings this team down. Andy Dalton as your starter right now. I mean, it's Andy Dalton. Nick Foles would probably be the 3, which, I mean, he's fine having as a 3, but he's not been the same since his Super Bowl MVP self for a while. Justin Fields. Okay, here's where I know the hate's going to come in, because I've said this and I already get a lot of hate for it. I don't feel that confident in Justin Fields' career outlook at this point. There were enough red flags coming out of college for him. Obviously just holding onto the ball too long, struggling. He made his reads fine, but he struggled to just complete those reads. Accuracy was dead awful at times. There were some big red flags with Fields. And so now that you bring him in with the Bears, I mean, it's just, you're playing in a tough division. At Ohio State, who is obviously easily the best Big Ten team, surrounded by talent, one of the best offensive lines in football. You go to the Bears, who has a decent offensive line. They've got some great weapons, but it's nowhere near Ohio State, especially the competition he was playing. I don't think that the Bears suit his play style at all. I think that Justin Fields was very much a, hey, this quarterback's falling, let's trade up and get him, move by Matt Nagy, and it may have saved his job. There's definitely a ton of upside on Justin Fields. He is a boomer bust prospect, and that boom is definitely there. I just feel being that his quote mentor is Andy Dalton and Nick Foles, you're putting him in a much worse situation than he was at Ohio State. At Ohio State, there would be games where he would just, if the defense was playing good, he would shut down, and they would completely have to go to the run game, which doesn't make me like this fit any better, because the Bears don't like to run. So, all around, I feel like the move was hey, let's trade up for this guy, he's falling. I don't think he fits them. I just don't feel confident in his outlook right now. And because of all that, this room, I'm not confident in Fields right now. I don't like Dalton or Foles starting. I mean, Foles is a third, is whatever. It's going to be a D-. I don't want to give it an F because Fields does have that upside, but I'm just not feeling confident right now, and that's a big reason why this team falls to 26 for me. And then the running back room, David Montgomery, I feel like this guy's overrated. I know a lot of people really love him. He's shown some great stuff. His numbers are great. I just don't think he makes that much of an impact. Like I talked about, the Bears they are forced to go to the run game a lot in the second half because their passing game is never working. And so at that point, when you're force feeding him, Montgomery's naturally going to get some more yardage. He's still a good running back. I'm not saying he's bad. He's still a top 20 guy. I just don't feel like he's top 10 like some other people think, but he's good enough. Tariq Cohen as your backup is a solid backup. Damian Williams over from the Chiefs, I like the pickup there. Khalil Herbert, I also like to think he fits this Bears offense really nice. So overall, it's a really actually solid excuse me, it's a very solid running back room actually. All right, we're back. Sorry, I had to grab some water there. So this running back room, it's very solid. I don't think there's like a top tier guy there, but it's very deep and it is talented. So I'm gonna give it a B here. Yeah, just basically for the depth alone. Again, Montgomery, I'm not saying he's bad. He's a good running back, but I just don't think he's anything special. So I'm going to give it a B here. Overall, this offense, it's good. The offensive line could be a bit better. It's young, but the quarterback room is going to hold this offense back once again. And unfortunately, I don't feel their defense is good enough to carry them to all that many wins this year. And so now getting into the defense, it's still a good defense, like overall. It's definitely like it's not a bad defense, but it's nowhere near like 2018. Akeem Hicks, obviously, still one of the better defensive ends in the NFL. Very solid guy. At defensive tackle, I don't know why Bilal would be starting over Eddie Goldman, but Eddie Goldman has been a fine enough defensive tackle for the Bears the last couple years. Mike Pennell is a backup I really like. I also like Nichols as a backup. I love the pickup of Chris Tonga as well. I think he's a great fit in this Bears defense. And then the other defensive end room, Mario Edwards, who is fine, I guess. Charles Snowden I do like, but I think he's more of an outside linebacker to me personally. So, but I'm going to put him just here with the defensive line group just for now. Overall, this defensive line group, it's probably going to get, I want to give it a B. I'm just going to give it a C plus for right now because I love Akeem Hicks. I love some of the youth here. The defensive tackle has some really nice depth, but Eddie Goldman isn't all that special, and Mario Edwards is not a guy I'd preferably have starting across from Akeem Hicks. It's going to get a C plus from here. Like, I can't raise it any higher than that just because besides Akeem Hicks, there's really not much else here. Outside linebacker, Khalil Mack, obviously one of the best in the game. In my opinion, he's the second best pass rusher in the NFL right now. The dude's elite. He has been every single year of his career except for his rookie year. Enough said with Khalil Mack. Travis Gibson as a backup, he's whatever. Robert Quinn is frustrating because he on paper he's a really good pass rusher. Look at his stats and stuff, but he's a super inconsistent guy. So he's one of those big reasons where I don't think he'll play good this year, but if he did play if he had one of his great seasons, like he does randomly every now and then, this team could very well be a lot better than they are. But for right now, I'm not going to assume that. And then Jeremiah Tashu was actually a very good backup. He's a very capable guy if you need him to start as well. So he's good to have his backup there. Outside linebacker, overall, I'm going to give an A-. Khalil Mack is an elite player, but Robert Quinn, you don't really know what you're getting. Although Atashu is a great backup, Gibson is a solid backup as well. So it's going to get an A- here for me. Inside linebacker, really no one else to here to talk about besides Smith and Trevathan. Roquan Smith played fantastic last year. I just kind of want to see a bit more, if it's more than 1 year. But he was great last year. And then Danny Trevathan, I think, is a number 2, is great for what he should be doing right now. He's not that quick, athletic guy anymore. Although he's still athletic. He's just not that quick, speedy guy. But a very solid run stuffer. So these two guys are great. Lack of depth for sure, but with two great linebackers, I'm going to give this an A- as well. I think they fit the roles perfectly and they're great, but just again, that lack of depth keeps it any higher than an A-. Cornerback, this is where we start to get into the nitty gritty because they've got some good players on paper. I can't talk apparently. Desmond Trufant is more of a Band-Aid to me for right now because this cornerback room is definitely lacking after letting go of Kyle Fuller. I don't really know if I'm remembering correctly, they announced to the world that they were trading Fuller, and so then at that point, or they were going to trade him or release him. So at that point, why would a team trade for him if they can just get him in free agency? So that was a really stupid thing of them to do. Desmond Trufant is definitely a Band-Aid fix. He's a solid guy, but he's nothing. I don't think he's good. Jalen Johnson, on the other hand, I did love last year. I think he's got one of the brightest futures at the cornerback position right now. The dude was insane last year. Artie Burns had a good rookie year and just never been the same since. So having him as your 3 is not the best in the world. Other than that, there's really no one else here to talk about. So a Band-Aid guy, a really good second-year player with a ton of upside, and then your 3 is a washed dude. Yeah, this is gonna get a D plus from me. I like Trufant isn't the worst guy in the world, and I do love the upside on Johnson, but there's no depth here. And even then, Trufant and Johnson still don't make the best duo in the world right here. So I'm gonna give it a D plus, not quite a C, not quite an F. So I'm gonna give it a D plus. Strong safety. I liked bringing back Deshaun Gibson. I think he's better than Deon Bush, but not by all that much. Those two together, I really don't. Gibson is fine as a starter, but he's one of the lower level starters in the NFL. Deon Bush is a fine enough backup. Overall, here it's a really meh room. It's going to be a C here, and then free safety. Eddie Jackson. There's no one behind him, but Eddie Jackson is a great safety. I have a Bears fan in my Discord server that all the time loves to talk about how he's just so misutilized. And it's true. He is very misutilized in that defense. There's definitely a reason why he suddenly just fell off a cliff all of a sudden. Not that he's played horrible or anything, but he's not been close to his old form. He is a great safety. Naturally, his value is going to be brought down because they misutilize him, but he is still a good safety. So I'm going to give this a B minus. He is a very good safety, though. It's just not used correct at all. And then the special teams, Cairo Santos has actually been really good. They gave him a big extension, so good on them for finding a pretty good kicker for once, actually, Parky. Pat O'Donnell is your punter, whatever. And then, your return man, it can really be anybody. Darnell Mooney or Anthony Miller, probably the obvious standouts here. But overall, this is a roster that has some really strong spots. Khalil Mack, obviously, Akeem Hicks, Allen Robinson. You've got some great players, and there is some good depthy positions, but there are some positions that are going to really hold this team back. Besides Akeem Hicks, the defensive line is nobody. We don't know what we're getting from Robert Quinn. The cornerback room is very, very not good right now. Safety could be a lot better, especially when you're misutilizing these guys. The offensive line is fine. The receivers are great. Tight end is okay. Running back's good. The quarterback is going to hold this team back so much, though. I don't expect Justin Fields to be starting until at least week 8, and even then, I don't know if he'll be ready. So, a lot of people are talking about, like, certain teams, they're going to be looking at it, like, why did we pass on Justin Fields? I don't feel it's going to be that way at all. I think out of the 3 quarterbacks, Fields will probably look like the worst his first year. So, overall, it's a strong roster at some places, but weak at other places. The main thing that brings this team down is its culture and coach, and we'll go talk about that now while looking at their roster. And taking a look here at their schedule, sorry, I could not find a better picture than this. Taking a look here at their schedule, sort of similar to the Jaguars, it's not the worst thing in the world. There are definitely some very tough games here, and again, naturally being one of the worst teams in the NFL, I don't want to say one of the worst, because we're kind of past the worst, like being one of the lesser teams in the NFL, even the other lesser teams are going to be toss-up games. There's really no easy games on this entire schedule, except for like the Lions, maybe. The rest of the teams are going to put up a fight or you have no chance against. Especially teams here that have good defenses. Like they're going to shut this offense down. Like you put a good pass rush on Andy Dalton and Justin Fields and you're going to win the game. Like unless your offense is just that god awful. Because again, even the Bears defense isn't even that good this year. So yeah, and now we talk about the coach and culture. I've never been a fan of Matt Nagy. I know people loved him a few years ago. He's holding this team back for me. I don't trust him to. Another reason with Justin Fields is I don't trust Matt Nagy at developing a quarterback at all. That's a big reason why Mitch Trubisky failed, in my opinion. Like, yeah, he sucked, but like Matt Nagy did not help that at all. Chuck Pagano, he's not a good defensive coordinator. That he was good. He helped in 2018, but I think that a lot of that was purely the talent. I don't think Chuck Pagano is all that much. If he was their defensive coordinator, which I think he was, he wasn't that much to attribute to. Regardless, he's not a good defensive coordinator now, in my opinion. This team has been hurting ever since it lost Vic Fangio. That was Vic Fangio. No, that was Vic Fangio in 2018 anyways, I think. They've been hurting ever since they lost him. And the offense, I think, has a lot set up going for it, but the quarterback is really going to hurt them. And the defense it's not good enough to carry the team anymore. I think they'll win probably anywhere from 4 to 7 games this year, but you're in a very tough division. I don't expect Fields to break out this year. If he does play, I don't expect him to be good at all, to be honest. You've actually got a very tough schedule. The culture isn't there for me. I don't see it from the Bears this year. I think for the future, they look very bright. Especially if Fields works out, like they have a very, very bright future. But if Fields doesn't work out, I mean, you might be in some trouble. Matt Nagy is my personal pick for the first coach to be fired. I don't think they're going to start out well at all. I mean, you start out with 3 very tough games. Maybe you win 1, maybe you win 2, and then you have another very tough stretch of 5 weeks. So Matt Nagy is my betting odd favorite right now to be fired first. I don't see the culture. It's a tough schedule. The team isn't there. Overall, I just don't see it from the Bears this year. But that is my 2021 analysis of the Chicago Bears for the 2021 NFL season. If you guys liked the video, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an upload. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next video. Bye-bye.